Hey everyone, my name is Sean, your host for today, and this is the Titan Digital Asset Podcast, where we have discussions with thought leaders in the crypto and blockchain space. My guest today is Eran from Shopin, the founder and CEO, and we also have George from Titan, one of our key partners. So how are you doing today, Eran?
So thank you very much for having me today. It's Eran from Shopin, and I'm doing great today. Thank you so much for having me on this chat.
Awesome. So the first question that we want to ask you is, can you tell us more about how you got interested in the cryptocurrency space?
Absolutely. So I have one of those ironic kind of stories that I think everybody hears, where a friend of mine phoned me a few years ago and said, Eran, I've read a white paper that's going to change everything and revolutionize the world. And he was talking about the Ethereum white paper, and that friend of mine is actually Jeremy Harkness, our blockchain technology officer, who's my great friend of 25 years. Jeremy said, Eran, I'm going deep into this. I'm putting everything in, and he went into the Genesis block of Ethereum. And that was my introduction into crypto. Of course, I'd heard about Bitcoin before, and I'd been holding like a couple of Bitcoins, but I didn't really understand the full ramifications of what Bitcoin would mean. And ironically, this all came to a head last year when Jeremy came through to see me in New York with his family, and he said, Eran, I love what your idea is, but I think that it's incomplete without the blockchain. And in truth it was, because we actually had some big challenges that we could not resolve using pre-blockchain technology. And fundamentally, the blockchain helps us to resolve fundamental issues in our business model that couldn't be resolved in any other way. And that was when I dug in deep, and I dug my heels in, and my entire world is the blockchain itself.
Okay, that's a pretty interesting background. I think your team is very strong, and I think we spoke to Jeremy the other day as well. So the next question that I have is, we want to try to understand Shopin. So can you tell us more about your project and the problem that you're trying to solve?
So this is a common thing that sometimes people like to pronounce it as Shopin or Chopin, and they think it's a homage to Chopin, the music. Actually, it's pronounced Shopin, as in Shopin. And the reason we call it Shopin is because we give you a profile, a universal profile, to be able to shop in all the places that you love, both online and offline, and to be able to own your data and share it in such a way that it shapes the personalization of all your experiences to be totally optimal just for you. And we give you what we call the just for you experience on every website and every piece of marketing you receive. And on top of that, we believe at the heart of the company is that not only should you be able to own your purchase data and be able to share it and control how it gets shared, you need to walk into this economy of personalization, but also into a financial economy where your data becomes a form of finance for you, so that retailers can send adverts to you, not to Facebook and Google and third-party ad providers that have been collecting data on you for a very long time, and the data is not good, right? The returns aren't there, the conversions aren't there, but your first-party data that you have, and serve you ads will incentivize you and engage you in meaningful ways, and they pay you instead of other people for it, and then you can come spend that crypto in their physical stores and the online stores.
Awesome. So I think a lot of the people that we've spoken to, they like to talk about your project as a distributed Amazon. And on that point, I think in our last conversation, you mentioned that you already had 2 pilot tests, one with Xenia and one with Bed Bath & Beyond. I think both of these tests from our conversations were very successful. Can you tell us more about these 2 projects? And then after that, can you tell us more about how you plan to increase retailer adoption in the next year?
So I think you brought up something really interesting. The way that people like to describe us as a distributed Amazon, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that we will never make sales inside the Shopin universal shopper profile. We don't make sales inside, we don't own the users, we don't take the margin away from the retailer. What we do is our vision is to be totally distributed and decentralized. decide on when you arrive at those sites. So when we worked with Xenia and we worked with some scrappy technology that we built for them, it was very customized, and we tried to figure out, is this really a thing? Is this really going to work? So we went to Xenia, and they have about 1 million people in their database. And on the Xenia site, we serve a page called the Just For You page. On this Just For You page, we serve very personalized product recommendations based on your universal shopper profile, your shopping profile. Unlike other people who are trying to go after the consumer, we want to go work with the retailer who is really suffering today. One retailer is going bankrupt a month these days, and the issue is the lack of understanding of the user. 7% of retailers can identify their user across multiple channels and devices. They don't know who you are. And we're trying to fix that by letting you have the ownership of the data. But the way to get to that happening is that we work with the retailer to onboard their own users, so that they can get a much deeper understanding of their user once all the other retailers start to give the users their data back. So we went to Xenia. They have about 1 million people in their database. Out of those 1 million people, in 30 days, 130,000 people, that's about 12 to 13% of their database, joined within 30 days for shopping. They created shopping profiles on the site of Xenia. And then what happens is that the retailer gives you 3 to 5 years of your purchase data. And we absorb that and we understand what it means in a very granular way, that this is a shirt of this size, of this color, of this proportion. And we start to build a taste profile. We also give the retailer an onboarding game, similar to the text pitch or trunk clubs, to engage the user and get verified shopper preferences. And we mix this together with the purchase history, and we use our artificial intelligence to look at what inventory currently Xenia had. And we reserve the inventory on the Just For You page, giving you a very personalized experience based on those two important items. And what we saw out of that was astounding. Out of the 5,600 people that went to the Just For You page, we generated about $1.7 million of revenue for the retailer. But the $1.7 million pales into insignificance of the fact that there was a 22% lift in transactional conversion. That means that instead of 100 people shopping, 122 people shopped. So we looked at this and we knew that this is way beyond anything we've seen in behavioral marketing, where you normally get a 3% on average lift. So we went over to friends of ours at the largest retailer in the United States, and it's servicing a very different market. Instead of high-end men's suiting, we were looking at home goods in the middle market. And out of 4.2 million people who were emailed, we saw that in 30 days, 500,000 people joined Shopin. And out of those 500,000 people, 86,000 went back to the Just For You page, and they purchased around $13 million of goods in 30 days.
Oh, wow.
Which showed a 22% lift in transactional conversion again. And when you look at these numbers, the numbers are no surprise. Because if you have a look at Accenture's report, 88% of users want to have a more personal experience based on controlling their data. And for the retailer to leverage that data to give them that personalized experience. We also give other things to the site. We give very fast checkout. Because now that it's all pulling from your own profile, you can put in your billing and shipping information to give you that one-click checkout feeling that you get from Amazon, but on every single website. So it's not just that you're receiving these amazing personalized recommendations. And they get better and better over time. The more that you shop, the more retailers that join, that give over your data back to you, the better the whole web gets for you. And on the other side, we allow you to check out super fast. Instead of a 5-minute, 10-minute process of checking out, you check out in 1.5 minutes or even less. So these are the things that seem to be quite favorable on the side of the retailer. Your question was, how do we scale from there? What do we do from that? And Eran, this is George. So wanted to stop there. And obviously, you went through a lot of stuff, but so I guess just to summarize or to synthesize, I think very compelling sort of value proposition, right? You're coming in sort of beyond just a white paper and a nice idea too. You've got real kind of merchant adoption coming in. You run real tests, like run real research and like market testing here. And for all kind of the listeners out there, I would definitely encourage everyone to sort of go through Shopin's website and read their white and follow the Telegram group to keep up to date. But I guess, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, I guess just to summarize kind of like your platform, I guess just for context, right? Like from the Titan side, I think your platform is very thematically consistent with our view on sort of data privacy and the liberalization of consumer data kind of in the years to come. And it seems like what Shopin offers is on the customer side, like you get to own, like you get to really own, I guess, like control with private keys, like higher quality data than just what we have today in the centralized solution. And we can use that data however we want anonymously, right? Like anything from sort of customized product suggestions to monetizing it to retailers, like selling it out to the big data guys, or even like giving it to friends or gift recommendations, stuff like that. On the merchant side, I feel the goal here is to get like the Amazon-like benefits without giving up kind of anything as high as like a 30% intermediary margin, giving up the customer relationships, being sort of perpetually compared with perfect price transparency, giving up sort of your branding and marketing rights, right? Like you're like an Amazon page on the merchant side, and then sometimes unnecessary accommodations as well. They'll just fit your operation to Amazon supply chain. Is that how am I understanding that right? Sort of the benefits. I know there's obviously a lot. Oh no, you've hit the nail smack on its head. You've really understood it very well. What we want to give you is that ultimate personalization and Amazon benefits on every website that you go to. Instead of forcing everyone to come to our website, taking the users away, changing the look and feel of your brand, stripping it bare, and crushing your margin. And don't get us wrong, we are not anti-Amazon at this company. We are great respecters of Jeff Bezos and what he's created. It's probably one of the top 5, CEOs who ever existed. So, when we see him in our time and we see the place for it, but it's a commoditization, right? And if it's commoditization, sell commodities, leave fashion alone, leave home goods alone, leave this kind of stuff alone, and let the retailers survive in their economy. And don't compete with them within your own ecosystem, do all these kind of things that are not healthy. And the retailers need another option. And the world of e-commerce is so big that there is a version of the world where Amazon can exist and we can exist. So I believe that what we do is fundamentally healthier for the consumer and for the retailer. And this is because the user owns their data. Quite an interesting thing that you've actually brought up is how the data is shared. So what we've done is we've actually got a decentralized and distributed artificial intelligence, which means that even when our artificial intelligence is dealing with your data, first of all, there's no honeypot of data to be hacked because it's on the blockchain. So each user is basically the owner of their data. It's very hard to get into that data from each of the users. And if you spend 6 months as a hacker hacking into that user, okay, good luck. Now repeat that 400 million times. So, it's not sustainable. It's not the value. The pot of gold is just not there anymore. So that's the first component. The second way that a hacker can get it is by hacking the middle layer. What if you hack the artificial intelligence? You can't do that with our version because we have a distributed and decentralized artificial intelligence. It's many AIs basically dealing with lots of bits and pieces of your data. And if you just capture one of them or two of them, it's not enough data to understand what's going on. It's all fragmented and encrypted. And so what happens with us is that actually this AI sits between the retailer and the user. And it goes over to the retailer and says, hey, what inventory do you currently have? And it looks at the inventory in real time of the retailer, compares it to the profile of the user, and says it displays these inventory items. So at no stage are we getting to a situation where the user's data is out of their hands and in the hands of someone else to do with as they please. And this is a huge paradigm shift because it also makes every single retailer who works with us GDPR compliant. Got it. And GDPR compliance, I think, is sort of interesting, right? And it's coming. It's looming too. It's like very kind of near term, right? Maybe it'd be helpful for you, Eran, to give some sort of macroeconomic context on GDPR and how Shopin will be able to facilitate that. Sure. So compliance, the GDPR compliance has been passed in Europe. 2 years ago, there was a law that was passed, and it's a General Data Protection Act. And at the heart of this act, the European Union has recognized that the user is the owner of their data. What does this mean? It means for the user that any European user can go and request their data back from any retailer or source. This can include in Facebook and Google, right through to a retailer or a merchant. And you can ask for your data back. That means they have to give it to you in a downloadable, discernible, and shareable format. Secondly, if you ask for data deletion, they have to give you a complete audit of what was done with the data, who it was shared with, what was done with it, and also show deletion, not just from you, but from all of your partners. And the fines are astronomical per user, per instance. Now, what's interesting about this is two things. First of all, this is a pure manifestation of decentralization. We talk about decentralization hypothetically and in technology every day. It has happened already 2 years ago that the world has acknowledged that this is a good thing. Number one. Number two, that you're thinking now, but wait a second, so this was only European users and only in Europe. No. This affects every single person in the world who sells to a European Union citizen or resident. So if you're traveling in Korea or you're traveling in America and somebody sells you something and they capture your data, those people fall under the same laws of the European Union in terms of the GDPR Act. And this act falls into full effect on the 28th of May.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that insight.
Got it. Yeah, super helpful color there. And it's great that you guys sort of have this built in by default, right? It's going to be sort of a heavy lift on the compliance side for sure for a lot of these retailers. But if they kind of use Shopin's kind of built-in stuff, I think it's sort of seamless for them.
Yeah, but think about what we're offering. Fundamentally, we're not going and coming to them and saying, we want you to pay for a compliance product. That is the buying side of the business. And anybody who knows about business will tell you, I want to be on the sell side of the business. We come in on the sell side of the business. We have a very simple language. We're going to help you to understand your customers better and engage them, and we can show you that you're going to get double-digit increases in conversion. There is no way that is a loss for anyone. The user has controlled their data, massive benefit. Amazon like behavior on every single website. They go to their app and they look for, they can see centralized billing, shipping, and tracking for all the items they buy across the web. One centralized wish list, the ability to share your profile with friends and family. And better yet, if you get an advert into this profile, you get the money. And you can spend that money in any participating retailer. So for both people, there's a win-win.
God, no, I agree with that. That's great. Great color.
So
I think one of the questions that you asked earlier on is how are we going to scale beyond these particular pilots, right? So getting to that, well, when we look at the world of selling a product like this, we can go do direct sales, and we do them every day. Believe me, we've spoken to the biggest sports retailer, to the biggest the multi-brand fashion houses. And we discussion with every single one of them, and we've already got agreements with some of them to proceed forward. But beyond that, when we think how to scale, we think about it in the Microsoft way. What does that mean? 9 out of 10 sales that are made from Microsoft are not done through direct sales. Actually, Microsoft is one of the smallest, if not the smallest, direct sales team for a company that size in the world. 9 out of 10 sales that Microsoft does not do. So when we look at all the different places that we go to, for example, the GTC, we have a head of a hedge fund who's already participated in our focus level and is making a strategic investment into our company because they own dozens and dozens of brands in that region, and they see Amazon as a clear and present danger and threat to their space. And we're the best hope for them to find that. So they get the benefits that we're talking about, but they also get the stable of Amazon in that territory. And there's a lot of territories like that where we're having similar conversations. We're also going to places and we because there's plenty of sunshine for everybody with what we're building. Lots of opportunities. But for us to go make every single sale is, we're not scared of that. And, we've obviously got Michael Herman, our Chief Revenue Officer, who, he has a list of 55 major retailers where he knows the key decision maker. And that's because before his background was that he was the global president of sales of Eddie Zahari, and then before that he was managing director at Donna Karen at DKNY and SVP at Valentino. So we're definitely going on to that small component. But the majority of our efforts are spent on meaningful partnerships that will help us to scale. And scaling the users for us comes through scaling the retailers, because the retailers onboard the users into Shopin.
Yeah, thanks for sharing those insights, Eran. So the next question that I have for you is about the team that you guys are working on and some of your previous experience. I think in addition to Shopin, it seems that you were able to raise over 2 million for your former startups, and you were able to exit through an acquisition. Can you tell us more about your experiences in general in the entrepreneurship space? And can you tell us about maybe one of the key lessons that you learned throughout your past experiences?
Absolutely. So I guess, the funny thing about entrepreneurship is it's a combination of ties. I mean, really, I can tell you that in any startup that I've been involved in, it has been an 18-hour to 22-hour day for me. And it is a 7-day a week thing for me. There's some people love the concept of the 4-hour work week. I don't really believe that. So I think that if you want to build something and you want to build a bank, it's worth the banking. My banking friends actually get to go out, etc. I actually kind of joke around with people that I do like Amazon so much that probably the closest thing I have right now in my life to a girlfriend is Alexa. That teaches some skills, bro. Well, hopefully one day we'll rewrite the AI for Alexa. So anyways, so believe me, yes, one thing I can tell you is you have to be unafraid. What does unafraid mean? Unafraid means that when there's a burning building, you're the person running in when everyone is running out. And you don't run in full-heartedly, partially, like Steve Jobs says, stay hungry, stay foolish. And I'm a big believer in that. But also partially because you kind of realize that when everybody runs out of the building because, they think it's on fire, and you run in, the building's empty, and you're the only person there to take advantage of that building if you can put out the fire and handle the heat. So you have to be very comfortable in uncomfortable positions, because uncomfortable positions create the greatest opportunity very often, because in the face of adversity, we're like a xenophobe. Sorry, not xenophobe, just like xenomorphs. Not xenophobes, sorry. We're like xenomorphs. Humans adapt incredibly in those kind of environments, and you can create big change. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me. I had so many learnings when we built Heavily. Everything from, we chose Microsoft, we were building it in 2010. And for some of the listeners, you may not know what that means, but in 2010, cloud services were a totally new thing. Azure had just launched. We were probably one of the most aggressive platforms, if not the most aggressive platform, on Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud, at that time. And I'm not sure we would have gone totally that direction and gone with .NET. Maybe we would have gone rather open source. That was one of the big things for me. And the second thing was, so we learned that basically open source is very often a good thing, and that corporate backing doesn't always help you the way that you think it's going to help you. So that was the first thing. And then I remember one of our big mistakes, and I'd rather talk about our mistakes. Mistakes are much more interesting than the successes. The successes are just a dime a dozen. And you don't learn tremendous amounts from really hearing about successes, but you learn a lot more from the introspection of of what went wrong, so you can fix it scalably for the future, so you don't have scalable problems that way. I remember one time what we did was that for 3 months we trusted while we were fundraising. We were so focused on fundraising and so focused on other areas of the business that we handed over all the products to our CTO. And we came back and the CTO developed something that they wanted to develop, which wasn't the best end of the business. And we realized, whoa, we actually needed a product owner. And the CTO was not a good product owner. He was a great technologist. So we had to restart rebuilding, and we got three critical 3 months of burning cash. And one of the things that I believe is that as a CEO, you have to be at the heart of your product. You have to be in those meetings, and you have to be driving that product as the business owner. And over time, you can scale, and you can get new people in. But when you're small and you're a fledgling business, the first couple of years, if you don't know that product inside and out, is not shaped by you in a great way, I think that you're set up to fail. So, I saw a lot of really interesting things like that. And I think that the road is never straight, and that a book can very rarely give you a roadmap. You can get some pretty good indicators of what to do, but there's nothing like being there on the ground when it gets gritty and when it gets nasty to see what your metal is made of.
Yeah, I think those are very, very good points that you made. I think it's always important to understand that technical officers may not necessarily have that business knowledge. So it's good to as the CEO, drive the product and really own the product and get advice from your technical officer. But at the end of the day, try to relate that technical piece to something that regular people and businesses can understand. So the next question that I have.
You have to really walk in with a tremendous amount. So just to comment on that, you need a tremendous amount of respect for the different roles that people have in a business. And what it is that you cannot be in a position, in a leadership role, where you set up people to fail. And that's actually what the key element is. Those people are brilliant at what they do. Keep them doing what they're doing. Let them be the geniuses that they are. But don't take them into deep water where they've never been before, or they just don't have the skills to swim, and expect them to suddenly learn to swim. It doesn't work that way. It's a great hypothetical story, and it's a nice story to tell kids at bedtime. The reality of the situation is everybody brings in something incredibly special into the business. And you have to respect what that is and let them do it, but you need to stay in touch, you need to contribute, and you need to be, and those people need to be doing the thing that they're brilliant at. When you take them out of their comfort zone and you take them out of what they're supposed to be doing, the rewards aren't there.
From my understanding, your private pre-sale rounds are already oversubscribed. Can you share with us the type of companies that have backed you up? So you don't have to go into specific names, but maybe ballpark fund size estimates if we're talking about institutional investors, or maybe if we're talking about like angel investors, like where are these guys located? Are we talking about South Africa, US, or let's say Asia?
Great question. So I think initially the people who really believed in us to help us do what we're doing were US based. For example, Nima Capital was a big believer in us, Tuna Safe, as well as some folks like large hedge funds out in the West Coast. I think we were their first. We were, I guess, their sweetheart IPO, which was pretty awesome for us. And at the heart of it, though, actually was the largest crypto, the world's, I believe it was the world's largest crypto fund. And one of the people who was like, really one of the biggest supporters of Ethereum and Bitcoin, etc. And they believed in us. They saw what we had to develop, the team, the vision, and actually brought together all those three people to back up meaningfully around in September. And those were our first participants. And then we reopened the sale a little later, and we had a combination of a few angels that believed in us and a couple of funds. So we, funds which were some of them small, like a $10 million fund, one which was a little larger, which was more like a $200 million fund. As we expanded and recently we won BTC Miami, the North American Bitcoin conference, where Ethereum was launched. And when that happened, everything kind of exploded overnight. And there were amazing folks that came in, such as yourself, where we had, let's say, a group of, like a syndicate or a group or a fund would come in, like a Chicago crypto fund, which is a smaller crypto fund, the crypto-only fund in Chicago, or people like yourself with Titan. We saw people even in Hong Kong. One of the oldest mining groups came in the most magical way and opened up the whole Hong Kong ecosystem for us, as well as even an exchange, which put together a syndicate for us. So it's been quite wild and wonderful seeing who's come in. Some of those people have even been CEOs of very meaningful businesses. For example, Tom Gonsa, the founder of Techstars, who also came on board as an advisor. Or Amadeo, whose family owns D&A, the largest factory retailer in Europe. So it's been quite a bit of a spread, and I would say that the majority of the funds it's hard to say that they all came from a fund or they came from a fund, etc. A lot of it came from syndicates of very, very well-established entrepreneurs. One of our syndicates is a group of about, I think, 40 entrepreneurs from the YEC, from the Young Entrepreneurs Council. And those people are an army to help us win this war, because they don't just take care, these are long-term holders. They're going to huddle all the way down to their dear lives. And outside of that, they also are interested in helping us to achieve the goals and the ends of the business. So when we look at this, and we look at the token sale and the people and the participants, we also see this army of people that's building around us to help us create a movement. And I think that's what's really exciting.
Yeah, I think it's great that you have investors from different parts of the world, and you also have investors with different skill sets. So I think that'll really help boost your project forward. So the next question that I have is, aside from your own project, I'm sure you know a lot about the cryptocurrency space, and I just wanted to ask you if there was any specific project or another cryptocurrency that you're really excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the ones I'm excited about is there's a wonderful girl by the name of Kat, a female founder who's got Simply Vital, and I'm pretty excited about Simply Vital, which is really about users owning all their medical data.
How do you spell this?
Having total ownership and autonomy of their medical data. I personally like that. By the way, I'm a participant, so in Simply Vital, and I think she's a phenomenal founder. So that's one of them. I think everybody's interested in the Telegram IPO, the biggest ICO that's ever existed. Well over $1 billion. I think the aim is $1.2 billion, and it's close to being fully subscribed, as I understand. I think that there's a massive user base and an incredible use case there. I do think it's a little expensive. I think it's at a starting price of $10. And the fact that everyone has to reform syndicate to get in, because the minimum ticket to get in is about $25 million, is a little scary, and not indicative of getting the crowd again. Because I would have liked to personally seen a situation where the Telegram community could get involved, even though one would consider that the Telegram, pretty much all the crypto communities are on Telegram. So a lot of the crypto communities have collaborated together to form syndicates to participate. But I think that it has disenfranchised personally the average Telegram user from participating, and that's not fantastic. It'll be interesting to see if there's something that's done for that community.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think that I've been so drill down focused on building Shopin that I have not had the bandwidth to look at different opportunities out there. I heard FastCoin was very interesting and sold out super fast. And there were a few others that have come across my radar, but I haven't had the bandwidth nor the opportunity to really focus on them. I think Synapse is having their, which is a decentralized AI, Synapse is having their focus sale, I think, around May, if I'm not mistaken, and that's quite an interesting one. But those are, I guess, unfortunately, I don't have the bandwidth for otherwise.
Yeah, I think as the cryptocurrency space evolves to become more mature, we start seeing it become more like equity markets where there's too many companies to know everything that's going on. So the next part of the interview will be something called a lightning round, and the goal of this is to hopefully get like very quick and very concise answers. And I have a couple of questions that I think would be pretty fun to ask. So
I'm ready. I'm rearing. I'm making that baseball bat position. Like I'm ready to hit those the ballpark. Give it to him. Fire away.
Perfect. So the first one is, what makes you get out of bed each morning?
The gym. Racket.
Sorry?
No day is complete. No day is complete or holistic for me without getting up and having physical exercise to put my body and mind in motion to prepare for the day with huge gratitude.
Okay. So the second is, what is a skill that you really pride yourself in?
I think patience and listening to the people around me and enabling them to do what they do best.
Okay, so let's call that listening. What's a relatively unknown fact about you?
I used to practice Kung Fu for 20 years, 67 hours a day, and I was the North American champion in my weight division.
For what?
And I practice Tai Chi every single day. So.
Tai Chi and Kung Fu?
Dude, that's legit, man. That is legit. You are a Renaissance man.
Yeah, I think that's.
I guess a classic man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you have like a particular Kung Fu style? Like, are we talking about like the Mantis school of Kung Fu, or like?
I used to specialize in Hunga, the tiger form,
Okay.
and in Bagwazang. Nowadays, I focus entirely on Tai Chi.
Okay, Tai Chi. All right. So what's a contrarian view or a bold prediction that you have for the next 10 years?
I think that the majority of fiat is going to start moving into a crypto sphere. I think that crypto will bring, I don't think we're going to see the death of fiat, but certainly think that we're going to see a massive shift.
Okay, so what do you like to read to keep up to date with the news?
You know what? My Telegram feed. I get sent so much interesting information on a daily basis through Telegram, and other people filter it for me, so I don't need to go look at the deluge of bad news.
Oh, okay. So what's a hobby or activity that you like to do to de-stress?
Tai Chi and drawing.
Oh, drawing. Nice. What's overhyped in today's world other than ICOs?
Sorry, can you just repeat that, please?
What's overhyped in today's world other than maybe ICOs?
What's overhyped?
Yes.
I would say it's parallel to ICOs. It's what's overhyped is tokenizing everything.
Okay. And
there's this desire to just like tokenize everything, and I don't think everything needs to be tokenized.
Yeah, I agree with that. Where can people?
I was gonna say green juice is overhyped today, man. But I'm
No. $10 to $12 juices.
Green juice is overhyped.
I don't know. No. I love my green juice. I'm sorry, you walked into my territory. You know what? cucumber and kale. What I think is overhyped is fruit juice. Way too much sugar and very low absorption of vitamins.
That's fair. All right, we're on the same page there.
So where can people reach out to say hi and tell you that they love what you're doing? Are you more active on Twitter, or what social media do you prefer?
I try to stay on top of everything, but Telegram has become my most engaging space. I love being on Shopin, the actual Shopin Telegram, which is SHOPIN, Shopin, everywhere. And on Shopin everywhere, I am daily there, and what I really love doing is sharing videos. So instead of answering people very often with text, I like to share videos of what's going on and answer their hard questions with videos, which helps me connect with them more. I speak to participants on a daily basis in private messaging. So it's really become my favorite place.
And I can testify to that. Like, Eran is super responsive on Telegram. I don't know how many guys asking questions on there, but he's super responsive. I mean, I harass him on pretty often as well. He hasn't blocked me yet, so I suppose that's a good thing, right?
I don't think you harass me. I don't think you harass me. The people who harass me are the people who want to sell me marketing services.
All right, so those are all the questions that I have for you today. Thank you so much, Eran, for your insights and explaining how Shopin works. And yeah, we're very excited to be part of this project, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege and an honor. We're deeply grateful for the time that you've given us today and the interest that you've shown in our